This video illustrates how to work with standards final grades in PowerTeacher Gradebook. Final grades are the grades given at the end of a term and go out on report cards. PowerTeacher Gradebook has percentage final grades as well as standards final grades. The percentage final grade, which is a ratio of points earned on assignments, is what you are probably familiar with. It is shown on the score sheet in a column just to the right of the students' names. The gradebook also has standards final grades. To see these, change your score sheet to final grades mode by clicking on the final grades button at the top of your score sheet. What you'll see is a column for each standard tied to the course. In these columns are the final grades on those standards for the reporting term you have selected. In final grade mode, you also still see percentage final grades. Standards final grades are similar to percentage final grades in that they are awarded at the end of the term. However, standards final grades differ from percentage final grades in a few important ways. First, while a course has only one percentage final grade for the term, a course can have many standards final grades for a single term, with each standards final grade communicating the student's level of mastery of the standard. Second, while a percentage final grade is an average of scores on assignments, standards final grades need not be an average of standard scores on assignments. You have control over how your gradebook derives a standards final grade from assignment standard scores. Click Tools, then click Preferences. Click on the Standards tab. The default standard final grade drop-down determines how the gradebook derives standard final grades from assignment standard scores. You can choose average the scores by selecting mean as the default standard final grade, but you can also choose one of these other methods, such as most recent or highest. For a detailed description of these different calculation methods and which scenarios might be suitable for these different methods, you can access your gradebook's online help. Click on Help, then click Contents, and then search for Calculation Methods. Another group of settings on the Standards tab that affects standards final grades is the Higher Level Standards section. If this box is checked, higher level standards, which are your top 10, will be computed from lowest level standards, which are success criteria. You can choose different calculations for how success criteria roll up to determine top 10 final grades. By default, your gradebook would average success criteria final grades to determine top 10 final grades. With this drop down, you can have the gradebook do this for all your standards or just selected standards. Whether you choose to have the gradebook calculate standards final grades from assignment standard scores or not, it's important to remember that using your professional judgment to determine a grade is always an option. You don't have to go with the standard final grade the gradebook is calculating from assignment standard scores. You can always override the gradebook's grade. To do so, simply enter the grade you wish to award in the final grade mode of the score sheet, then click Save. The grade that you've overridden will appear black, while gradebook calculated gray is a light maroon color. A good tool to aid your professional judgment is the Student View mode of the score sheet. Click the Student View button to get there. What you see are scores for a single student in the selected reporting term. Click the arrows below the student's name to flip through students in the class. Assignments are shown top to bottom in order from oldest to most recent. You see the percentage scores in the scores column, and to the right of that you see a column for each standard in the course. You see scores under the standards column if an assignment was tied to that standard. Student View mode is the best way to see a student's progression on a standard. Towards the bottom you see a final score row. These are the final grades, both the percentage final grade and the standards final grades. Beneath this row, all these rows in gray show the different calculations the gradebook can do to determine a final grade. Just like in final grades mode, you can override any grade you see here by clicking the cell and typing in the grade. Notice the gear icon on the final grade for the top 10 standards. This is showing that this final grade is being calculated from the success criteria final grades. You can override the top 10 final grades too. Notice the difference in appearance between overridden grades and calculated grades. If you decide you want to revert to the gradebook's calculated grade, all you have to do is right-click on the grade, then click Revert to Calculated Grade. Thank you for viewing this video tutorial about PowerTeacher Gradebook Standards Final Grades.